The sky is a sheet of unbroken gray. There is no sun today. There was no sun yesterday. It is the middle of winter on the northern frontier of the empire. The year does not matter. The emperor does not matter. Here, on this road, there is only the gray sky and the brown earth. The rain is falling. It is not a storm. It is not a violent downpour. It is a slow, steady, freezing drizzle that has been falling since before dawn. It covers the world in a mist of cold water. It hangs in the air, clinging to everything it touches. Listen to the sound of the rain. It taps gently against the metal helmets of the legionaries. Tap, tap, tap. A soft, metallic rhythm that never ends. It falls on the leather covers of the shields. A dull, thudding sound. It falls on the wool of the cloaks, soaking into the heavy fabric, making it darker, making it heavier. You do not need to pay attention to where they are going. They are just moving, one foot in front of the other. There is no battle to fight. There is no urgency. There is only the march. You can close your eyes and just listen to the sound of the march. Beneath the gray sky, the Roman road stretches out in a straight line. It is a masterpiece of engineering built to last for centuries, but today it is slick with water. The stones are wet and cold. Between the stones, the mud is rising. The legion is moving, 5,000 men, but they are not running. They are walking at a slow, steady pace. The pace is set by the drums, but even the drums sound muffled in the damp air. Thud splash, thud splash. That is the sound of 10,000 boots hitting the wet road. The caligae, the heavy leather sandals of the soldiers, are thick and studded with iron hobnails. The iron bites into the wet stone. It crunches into the gravel. It squelches into the mud. Imagine the mud. It is thick. It is cold. It is the color of clay and ash. It clings to the soles of the sandals. With every step, a soldier lifts a little bit of the road with him. The weight adds up, ounce by ounce, step by step, but they do not stop. They are used to the weight. They are used to the cold. The air smells of wet wool. It smells of damp leather. It smells of pine trees and cold earth. It is a clean, sharp smell washed by days of rain. Breathe it in. It is cold in your lungs, but it is calm. There is no talking in the ranks. The soldiers are saving their breath. They are saving their warmth. Occasionally, you might hear the clink of metal against metal, a mess tin banging against a belt buckle, the squeak of a leather strap rubbing against armor, but mostly there is just the rain and the footsteps. If you are listening, know that you do not need to remember any of this. The legion is just walking. They will be walking for hours. Nothing will happen. You can let your mind drift away. You are safe. You are warm. You are far away from the cold rain. Focus on a single soldier in the middle of the column. He is wrapped in his heavy woolen cloak, the pinula. It is dyed a dull brown. The wool is scratchy and thick, designed to keep out the wind. The rain has soaked the outer layer, turning it a deep, dark shade. The water beads on the oily wool, then runs down in tiny rivulets. The water runs down the back of his cloak. It drips off the hem. It falls onto his calves, which are wrapped in thick fabric bindings to keep them warm. The bindings are splashed with mud. On his back he carries his world. The furka, the wooden crossbow, rests on his shoulder. It carries his marching pack. There is a bronze cooking pot hanging by a handle. It swings slightly with every step. Clink, swish, clink. Inside his pack there is dried grain. There is a piece of salt pork. There is a spare tunic. It is all wrapped tightly in leather to keep it dry. He carries his tools, a shovel, a pickaxe, a saw. The weight is over 60 pounds, but he does not complain. He does not even think about it. It is just part of his body now. The weight pushes his feet firmly into the ground. The road passes through a forest. The trees are tall and ancient. They are pines and firs, their needles dark green, almost black in the dim light. The branches are heavy with water. Occasionally, a breeze shakes a branch, and a cascade of water falls to the forest floor. Shh plop. The mist weaves through the tree trunks. It softens the edges of the world. You cannot see far into the woods. You can only see the gray shapes of trees fading into the white fog. It is a wall of silence surrounding the road. The column of soldiers looks like a long, segmented snake, metal and leather and wool. They move as one organism, left foot, right foot, left foot. The rain changes slightly. It becomes colder. Tiny pellets of ice begin to mix with the water, sleet. It bounces off the curved shields. It rattles against the shoulder guards of the Larica segmentata armor. The iron plates are cold to the touch. They are wet and shining in the dull light. The cold is not a sharp pain. It is a slow, numbing sensation. It starts in the fingers. It starts in the nose. But the movement keeps the blood flowing. The rhythm keeps the body warm. Walk with them. Feel the steady rhythm. There is no rush. The destination is just a place to sleep. The journey is the only thing that is real right now. Look at the ground again. There is a puddle. It is wide and shallow, filling a depression in the road. The surface of the water ripples with the raindrops. Thousands of tiny circles, overlapping, expanding, vanishing. A boot steps into the puddle. The water splashes up. The mud swirls. The boot lifts, water streaming from the leather straps. Then the next boot steps in, and the next. The puddle is churned into a brown soup, but the water always settles back down. It always returns to stillness eventually. The breath of the soldiers creates small clouds in the air, white puffs of steam that appear for a moment and then vanish into the gray mist. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. The rhythm of breathing matches the rhythm of walking. Sometimes the road rises slightly, a gentle hill. The soldiers lean forward, shifting the weight of their packs. Their muscles tighten. The pace slows down just a fraction. Crunch, crunch, crunch. The gravel is looser here. At the side of the road, a mule walks. It is laden with tents and heavier equipment. Its head is low. Its ears flick back against the rain. It walks with the same resignation as the men. Its hooves make a different sound. Clop, clop. A hollower sound. The leather harness creaks. Creak, creak. There is something hypnotic about the creaking of leather. It is a rhythmic, repetitive sound, like a rocking chair. It signifies that everything is holding together. Everything is secure. The day is passing, but you can hardly tell. The light was dim at noon, and it is dim now. The gray just deepens slightly. The shadows under the trees grow a little longer, a little darker. You are watching a painting that moves very slowly, a painting of gray and brown and steel. The soldier adjusts his helmet. He shifts it slightly to stop the water from dripping down his neck. The cheek guards press against his jaw. The metal is cool. He looks straight ahead. He looks at the pack of the man in front of him. That is his view. The brown leather pack, the rolled cloak, the swaying cooking pot. He has seen this view for 1,000 miles. He will see it for 1,000 more. It is a familiar, boring view. It demands nothing from him. It demands nothing from you. The rain intensifies for a moment, a brief swell in the volume of the hiss. HHHSXXXXX. Then it settles back to the steady drizzle. The mud at the edge of the road is deep. If a soldier steps too close to the edge, his foot sinks. The mud makes a sucking sound as he pulls his foot free. Schloop. It requires a little more effort, so they stay in the center. They stay on the stones. Imagine the feeling of the heavy wool socks inside the sandals. They are damp, but the wool holds warmth even when wet. The friction of the foot against the sole generates heat. It is a humid, enclosed warmth. The Legion passes a milestone, a tall, cylindrical stone pillar. It is weathered and covered in green moss. There are numbers carved into it, but the rain fills the grooves. It marks the distance to a city that is far away. Rome is far away. The sun is far away. Here, there is only the frontier. The wind picks up slightly. It rustles the wet needles of the pine trees. It is a low, moaning sound. Whoosh! It pushes the rain at a slant. The soldiers tilt their heads down. They pull their cloaks tighter. The water drips from the rim of a shield. Drop, 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 drop. It lands on the muddy road and is lost instantly. There is no conversation because there is nothing to say. Everyone knows the rain. Everyone knows the cold. Words would just be lost in the mist. The silence is shared. It is a companionable silence. Occasionally, a centurion walks by on the flank. He carries a vine staff. He does not shout. He just walks, checking the lines. His crest is made of horsehair dyed red, but now it is dark and heavy with water. It lies flat against his helmet. He is just another figure in the gray procession. The road curves gently to the left. As the column turns, you can see the sheer length of it. It stretches back into the fog, a river of men and iron. There is no beginning and no end visible, just the segment that is here now. The sound of the march is a white noise. It blocks out thoughts, it blocks out worries. It is a blanket of sound, step, step, rain, step, breath, creak, step. Let the rhythm slow your own breathing. Let the gray sky calm your eyes. The colors of the world are muted. There are no bright reds or yellows. Only the brown of leather, the gray of iron, the dark green of the trees, and the endless gray of the sky. The dampness softens everything. The ground is soft, the air is soft, the light is soft. A bird calls from deep within the forest. A raven, caw, caw. The sound is muffled, distant. It does not disturb the march. The raven sits on a high branch watching the line of men. It fluffs its black feathers against the cold. Then silence returns. The soldiers are passing a small stream now. The road crosses it on a small stone arch bridge. The stream is swollen with the rain. The water is dark and rushing. It churns over rocks, creating white foam. Rush. The sound of the water mixes with the sound of the rain. The boots hollow out on the bridge. Clack, clack, clack. The sound is sharper on the bridge stones. Then, as they reach the other side, it returns to the duller thud of the muddy road. Nothing changes. The march continues. The light is beginning to fade very slowly. The gray is turning to a deep charcoal. Evening is approaching. But they do not stop yet. They must reach the designated ground. The fatigue is there, but it is a dull ache. It is not sharp. It is the feeling of being used, of working. It is a heavy, warm feeling in the muscles of the legs. The shoulders are numb under the weight of the packs. It is a hypnotic state. The body moves on its own. The mind is free to float in the gray mist, to float in the rain. Think of the texture of the shield cover. Goat leather, treated with oil and beeswax. It is smooth, repelling the water, but the rain is persistent. It finds the tiny cracks. Think of the texture of the road, the rough stones, the smooth puddles, the sticky mud. Everything is wet. Everything is cold. But the Legion is a machine that generates its own heat. The collective warmth of 5,000 bodies keeps the freezing air at bay. You are walking in the middle of the pack. You are sheltered by the men around you. The wind does not hit you directly. You are safe in the center of the column. You are just moving, drifting. The rain taps on your helmet, tap, tap, tap. It is the lullaby of the frontier. The road stretches on. endless, timeless. The march does not end with a shout. It ends with a ripple of stillness. The column slows, compresses, and then, finally, stops. The motion that has defined the last 8 hours ceases. 5,000 men stand still in the rain. For a moment, there is only the sound of heavy breathing. 5,000 chests rising and falling. Steam rising from wet wool cloaks, thickening the fog around them. The silence is sudden and heavy. It feels louder than the marching. Shoulders slump forward slightly. The weight of the packs, the sarsana, pulls down on the straps. The wood of the carrying poles digs into tired muscles. But there is a sense of relief. The walking is over. The work of the night begins. They have arrived at a field. It looks exactly like the land they have been walking through all day. It is a flat stretch of ground, covered in dead, yellow grass that is matted down by the rain. There are a few scrubby bushes, stripped of leaves by the winter. The ground is soft and spongy. Water squelches underfoot if you shift your weight. But this is not just a field anymore. It is about to become a city. A temporary city built of leather and earth that will exist for one night and then vanish. The surveyors, the mensors, have already been here. You can see their work if you look closely through the gloom. They have planted small wooden stakes in the ground. White flags hang from some of them, limp and wet, barely moving in the damp air. These stakes mark the corners of the camp. They mark the streets. They mark the place where the commander's tent will go. It is a perfect square, geometry imposed on the wilderness. The lines are straight, ignoring the bumps and puddles of the earth. The order is given quietly. Down the line, the soldiers lower their packs. Thump, thump, thump. The sound of the heavy packs hitting the wet ground is dull and soft. The soldiers straighten their backs. They roll their shoulders, working out the stiffness. They stretch their necks. The rain runs down their faces, but they do not wipe it away. Hands are busy. The shields are unslung. They are stacked carefully. The leather covers are kept on to protect the wood and glue from the damp. Now the tools come out, the dalebra. It is a heavy tool, half pickaxe, half axe. The iron head is thick and scarred from use. The wooden handle is smooth, polished by the friction of thousands of hours of gripping. It is dark with oil and sweat. The legion does not rest yet. Before anyone can sleep, before anyone can eat, they must dig. The ditch, the fossa, it must be dug around the entire perimeter of the camp. It is the same ditch they dug yesterday. It is the same ditch they will dig tomorrow. It is 5 feet wide and 3 feet deep. Watch the soldier nearest to you. He steps up to the line marked by the surveyor. He plants his feet wide in the mud. He raises the dalebra. Huug, a breath out. Thunk. The pickaxe strikes the ground. It cuts through the mat of wet grass and bites into the earth. The sound is not a ring of metal. It is a dead, wet chop. He pulls back on the handle. The wet earth clings to the blade. It creates a sucking sound as the soil is pried loose. Schluck. He swings again, thunk. And again, thunk. The rhythm is slower than the march. It is a heavy, grinding rhythm. All along the line, hundreds of men are doing the same thing. The sound of hundreds of pickaxes hitting the earth creates a low, chaotic drumbeat. The top layer of soil is dark and filled with roots. The roots snap and tear. Below the soil there is clay, heavy gray clay. It is dense and sticky. The soldier switches to a shovel. It is made of iron tipped with wood. He drives it into the loosened clay. He pushes it down with his boot. The mud squelches around the metal. He lifts the load. It is heavy. Wet earth is incredibly heavy. He turns and throws the dirt inward, creating a pile. This pile will become the wall, the agar. Scrape, lift, toss, splat. The dirt lands with a wet slap. Scrape, lift, toss, splat. It is mesmerizing to watch. The pile of earth grows slowly, inch by inch, a mound of dark, wet clay rising from the grass. The rain continues to fall. It falls into the trench they are digging. The bottom of the trench begins to fill with a thin layer of muddy water. The soldiers are standing in it. Their boots sink into the clay. When they lift their feet, the mud tries to hold them. It requires a deliberate effort to step, but they are used to it. They work with an efficiency that saves energy. No wasted movements, no rushing, just the steady removal of the earth. The smell of the air changes. It no longer smells just of pine and rain. Now it smells of raw, overturned earth, a deep mineral scent, damp and primitive. It is the smell of a grave or a garden or a foundation. It is the smell of the underground brought to the surface. The light is fading fast now. The gray sky is turning a deep, bruised purple. The trees at the edge of the field are becoming black silhouettes against the dark clouds. The temperature is dropping. You can feel the chill settling into the hollows of the land. The mud is cold. The iron of the tools is freezing. But the work generates heat. The soldiers have removed their heavy cloaks. They work in their tunics. Steam rises from their backs, mixing with the rain. Their tunics are damp with sweat and drizzle. The wool clings to their skin. Listen to the specific sounds of the digging. The scrape of metal against a buried stone. SKRRT. The grunt of effort. The heavy breath. The splash of a boot slipping. There is no conversation. There is no need for it. Every man knows his task. One man digs. Another shapes the wall. Another cuts sod from the turf to reinforce the sides of the rampart. They are building a wall of mud to keep out the night. Further inside the camp, behind the rising wall of earth, other men are setting up the tents. The tents are made of leather, goat skin or calf skin. They are heavy, especially when wet. They are rolled up in tight bundles on the mules. Watch as a group of 8 men, a contubernium, unpacks their tent. They lift the heavy roll of leather from the mule. It lands on the wet grass with a thud. They unroll it. The leather is stiff from the cold. It makes a creaking, crinkling sound as it flattens out. It is dark brown, stained with smoke from countless campfires. They lay out the poles, wooden poles tipped with iron. They slide the poles into the sleeves of the tent. Lift, one of them murmurs, a soft single word. They lift the structure. The leather rises, shaking off the water pooling in its folds. It takes the shape of a small house, a gable roof, sloping sides. Now the ropes. The ropes are made of hemp. They are rough and swollen with water. They are difficult to knot with cold, wet fingers. The soldiers' hands are red and muddy. They pull the ropes taut. The stakes, wooden pegs. A soldier kneels in the mud. He holds a wooden mallet. Whack, whack, whack. He drives the peg into the soft ground. The sound is dull, absorbed by the wet earth. He moves to the next rope. Whack, whack, whack. The tent stands. It is taut and secure. It is a small island of dry space in a wet world. The rain drums on the leather roof. Pat, 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 pat. The sound is different from the sound on the metal helmets. It is deeper, softer, like a heartbeat. Rows of these tents are rising all over the field. Rows and rows of identical leather shapes. Streets are forming between them. The Via Principalis, the Via Praetoria. What was a field an hour ago is now a grid. It is organized. It is Roman. The mud in the streets is already being churned up. Thousands of feet walking back and forth, carrying water, carrying wood. The grass is gone, trampled into the brown sludge. The ditch is finished. The wall is finished. Stakes, carried by the soldiers, are planted on top of the earth wall, a fence of wood to crown the wall of mud. The darkness is almost complete now. The world has shrunk to the immediate area. The work slows down. The heavy breathing quiets. The soldiers pick up their tools. They wipe the worst of the mud off the blades with tufts of wet grass. The metal gleams dully in the twilight. They put their cloaks back on. The heavy, wet wool settles back onto their shoulders. It feels cold for a moment, then the body heat warms it up. They move towards their tents. The entrance flaps are tied back. Inside it is dark, but it is out of the wind. The ground inside the tent is covered with straw or bracken, if they could find any. If not, they lay down their leather satchels, their spare tunics, anything to keep off the cold ground. You can imagine crawling into one of those tents. The space is small. It smells of leather and old smoke and unwashed wool, but it is shelter. The wind howls outside, but inside the air is still. The rain continues its steady work. It washes the newly dug ditch. It runs down the sides of the new mud wall. It pools in the footprints left by the soldiers. The camp is a hive that is slowly going to sleep, but there is still movement. Smoke begins to rise, not from roaring bonfires. Wood is wet and scarce, but small, carefully tended fires in portable metal braziers or sheltered pits. The smoke hangs low in the heavy, wet air. It drifts through the rows of tents, a gray haze mixing with the night. It smells of pine pitch and charcoal, a comforting, acrid smell. The sounds of the camp change. The digging has stopped. The hammering has stopped. Now there are the sounds of living. The clank of a ladle against a pot, the hiss of water dropping onto a hot stone, the low murmur of voices, not shouting, just low, tired muttering, the shake of a wet cloak being snapped out. You are standing in the middle of the camp. The rain is still falling, but you don't feel cold. You are watching the routine. It is a routine that has happened 10,000 times before. Nothing has gone wrong. The camp is secure. The sentries are being posted at the gates. They stand still, wrapped in their cloaks, clutching their spears. They are statues in the rain. The rest of the men are safe inside the leather walls. Look at the ground one more time. The mud is slick and shining in the faint light of the fires. It is ugly, but it is solid. It supports the army. The rhythm of the evening has taken over. It is a slow, winding down rhythm. The adrenaline of the march is gone. The exertion of the digging is gone. Now there is only the waiting for sleep. The body cools down, the muscles relax, the mind slows. Listen to the rain on the tents. Drum, drum, drum. It is a chaotic white noise, a blanket of sound that covers everything. Far away outside the camp, a wolf howls. It is a lonely, high-pitched sound, but it is distant. It belongs to the wild forest. Here, inside the square of the ditch and the wall, there is order. You can rest here. You can stand by the smoldering fire and warm your hands. Watch the embers glow, red and orange, breathing in the darkness. As the ash covers them, they dim. The pace of the world has slowed to the pace of a dying fire. Everything is heavy. The air is heavy with moisture. The clothes are heavy with water. The eyelids are heavy with sleep. There is nothing left to do today. The road is behind. The morning is far ahead. There is only now. The rain, the mud, the fire. The camp settles. The noises become fewer and farther between. A cough, a shifting of wood, then silence again. The dark is comforting. It hides the gray sky. It hides the endless horizon. It wraps the camp in a soft black velvet. You are safe in the routine. You are safe in the boredom of the legend. The world has shrunk. Before it was a road. Then it was a field. Now it is a circle of light around a small fire. There are 8 men in this circle. They are a contubernium, the smallest unit of the legion. They share a tent. They share a mule. They share this fire. The fire is small. It is contained within a shallow pit dug into the wet earth. The soldiers have shielded it with their shields, creating a small wall to block the wind. The flames are not high. They are low, licking at the blackened bottom of the bronze cooking pot. The wood is damp. It hisses as it burns. SSSS pop. Every now and then, a drop of water falls from the sky, dodging the shields and lands in the fire. It vanishes instantly with a sharp hiss. Smoke rises. It is thick and white. It does not go straight up. It swirls around the men clinging to their tunics. It stings the eyes gently, but no one moves away. The smoke is warmth. The smoke is the smell of home, wherever that might be. Focus on the sound of the mill. One of the soldiers is preparing the meal. He sits on a leather satchel, his legs spread wide. Between his knees sits the mola manuaria, the hand mill. It consists of 2 heavy circular stones, one on top of the other. He pours a handful of hard grain into the hole in the top stone. It is wheat, hard, golden kernels. They rattle as they hit the stone. Clatter, clatter. He grips the wooden handle sticking out of the top stone. He begins to turn it. Grrrrind, grrrrind, grrrrind. The sound is rough and rhythmic, stone rubbing against stone, crushing the grain between them. It is a slow, laborious process. To make enough flour for 8 men takes time. It takes patience. Watch his hand. It is dirty, stained with mud and rust, but the movement is steady. He pushes the handle away, then pulls it back. A perfect circle, over and over again. Round and round and round. White flour begins to spill out from the seam between the stones. It falls onto a piece of leather he has spread on the ground. It is coarse flour, speckled with bran. It piles up in a small, soft mound. The soldier does not look at the mill. He stares into the fire. His eyes are half closed. He is in a trance of work. The fatigue of the march is still in his shoulders, but this motion is different. It is a circular motion, not a forward motion. It is soothing. Inside the bronze pot hanging over the fire, water is beginning to boil. It has been fetched from the nearby stream, filtered through a cloth to remove the grit. Bubble, blip, bubble. The surface of the water trembles. Steam rises, joining the smoke. The water is gray in the dim light. Another soldier takes a slab of salt pork from a wax-sealed wrapper. It is white fat with streaks of pink meat. It is hard and preserved. He takes a small knife. The blade is short and sharp. He slices the pork. Slice. The knife cuts through the dense fat. Slice. He cuts it into small cubes. He drops them into the boiling water. Plop, plop, plop. The water calms for a moment, then begins to boil again. The fat begins to render. A savory, oily smell begins to mix with the smell of the smoke. It is a heavy, rich smell. It speaks of calories. It speaks of survival. Now the flour is ready. The soldier with the mill stops. The silence that follows the grinding is sudden. He brushes the last of the flour from the stone. Swish, swish. He gathers the leather sheet and pours the flour into the boiling water. Whoosh. He takes a wooden spoon. It is a simple stick with a carved bowl. He begins to stir. This is pools, the porridge of the legion. It is the fuel of the empire. It is not fancy. It is thick, gray-brown paste. He stirs slowly. The mixture thickens. It bubbles sluggishly. Blop, blop. It requires strength to stir now. The spoon scrapes the bottom of the pot. Scrape, scrape. He must keep stirring so it does not burn. It is a mindful task. If he stops, the meal is ruined. So he continues. The spoon moves in circles, echoing the movement of the millstone. The other men are busy with their own quiet tasks. The day's march destroys gear. The gear must be fixed. Look at the soldier to the left. He has removed his helmet. It rests on his knee. He holds a rag dipped in olive oil. He rubs the bronze. Rub, rub, rub. The metal is dull from the rain. He rubs it in small circles. The oil lifts the dirt. It lifts the water spots. Slowly, the bronze begins to glow again. It reflects the orange light of the fire. He cleans the cheek guards. He cleans the neck guard. He cleans the rim. He checks the hinge. He moves the cheek guard back and forth. Squeak, squeak, it is stiff. He adds more oil. He works the hinge. Squeak, smooth. Now it moves silently. He sets the helmet down gently on his pack. It is ready for tomorrow. He picks up his gladius, his short sword. He does not draw it fully. He pulls it out just an inch to check the blade. The steel gleams. It is dry. He pushes it back in. Click. A solid, reassuring sound. The rain continues to fall on the world outside this circle. You can hear it drumming on the leather tent behind them. Thrum, thrum, thrum. The wind shakes the fabric, making the leather snap, flap. But here by the fire it is warm. The heat radiates against their shins. Their faces are hot while their backs are cold. They rotate slowly, warming one side, then the other. The porridge is ready. The soldier with the spoon taps the side of the pot. Clack, clack. This is the dinner bell. The men reach for their mess tins. They are simple bronze bowls. They hold them out. A ladle scoops the thick, heavy mush. Slop. It lands in the bowl. It steams heavily. Slop. Next bowl. They eat. There is no table. They hold the warm bowls in their hands, letting the heat seep into their frozen fingers. They use their own spoons, or they use pieces of hard bread to scoop it up. There is almost no sound now except the sound of eating. The soft clinking of wood on bronze. The sound of swallowing. The exhales of satisfaction. The food is hot. It scalds the tongue, but the heat is welcome. It travels down the throat, warming the chest, then the stomach. It is a heavy weight in the belly. It grounds them. It tastes of wheat and salt pork. It is bland, but to a hungry man it is delicious. It is life. One soldier takes a small flask. He pours a little bit of pasca into his cup. Pasca is sour wine mixed with water and herbs. It smells sharp like vinegar. It cuts through the grease of the pork. He takes a sip. He sighs. The meal is over quickly. There is no lingering over courses. The bowls are scraped clean. Not a speck of grain is left. Now comes the most important part of the night. The boots. Slowly, carefully, the soldiers unlace their caligy. The wet leather straps are tight and swollen. It takes effort to undo the knots. Fingers fumble. Finally, the straps loosen. The sandal is pulled off. Sook. The sound of the wet leather releasing the foot. They peel off their socks. The wool is sodden. It is heavy with water and mud. They expose their feet to the fire. The skin is pale, wrinkled like a prune from being wet for 12 hours. It is washerwoman's skin. It looks fragile. They massage their feet. They rub the arches. They rub the toes. They bring blood back to the surface. The firelight casts long shadows of their moving hands against the wet grass. They take small pots of lanolin sheep's fat. They scoop out a dollop. It is yellow and greasy. They rub it into their feet. It creates a barrier against the water. It soothes the raw skin. This is not vanity. This is survival. A soldier who cannot walk is a dead soldier. They tend to their feet with the same care a mother tends to a child. The smell of the lanolin mixes with the smoke. It is a barnyard smell, earthy and thick. They hang their wet socks on sticks near the fire. Steam rises from the wool instantly. The socks will not be dry by morning, but they will be warm. That is all they can hope for. The fire is dying down. The wood has turned to glowing red coals. The flames are gone. The light is dimmer, softer. It is a deep, pulsing red light. The shadows draw in closer. The darkness of the camp presses against the circle. The soldiers speak a few words. More rain tomorrow. I, guard duty, third watch, sleep well. The voices are low, barely whispers. They are not really talking to each other. They are just acknowledging that they are still there. They begin to move towards the tent. They crawl in one by one. Inside the tent, it is pitch black. You cannot see your hand in front of your face, but you can feel the presence of the others. The heat of 7 other bodies makes the small space surprisingly warm. The ground is hard, even through the straw and leather, but the body is so tired it does not care. They lie down. They wrap themselves in their dry blankets if they have them, or their slightly damp cloaks. They huddle together for warmth. The tent flap is tied shut. The wind is locked out. The rain is locked out. Now there is only the sound of breathing. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. It starts to sync up, a collective rhythm of sleep. You are lying there with them. You are safe in the dark. The leather walls are thick. The ditch outside is deep. The sentries are awake so you don't have to be. Focus on the sound of the rain on the roof again. It is directly above your head now, separated only by a layer of skin. Pitter-patter, pitter-patter. It is a chaotic, gentle drumming. Sometimes a heavier drop hits, thump. Sometimes the wind gusts, whoosh. The tent poles creak, creak. But the structure holds. The smell inside is intense. Wet wool, leather, unwashed bodies, lanolin, smoke. It is the smell of humanity in the wild. It is a primal, comforting scent. It says, we are here, we are alive. Your mind begins to drift. The events of the day are blurring. The road is just a gray line in your memory. The mud is forgotten. There is only the warmth of the blanket, the hardness of the ground which supports your back, the heaviness of your eyelids. The coals outside are turning to ash. The red glow is fading to gray. The camp is silent. Even the mules have stopped shifting. You are floating in the darkness of the Roman frontier. Time does not exist here. There is no clock. There is only the watch, the first watch, the second watch. But for you, there is only the rest. Let your muscles go loose. Unclench your jaw, drop your shoulders. The legion is sleeping. The empire is sleeping. The rain continues. It will rain all night. It washes the world clean. It fills the rivers. It turns the dust to mud. Drip, drop. A drop of water leaks through a seam in the tent. It lands in the straw near the door. Plip, and again, plip. It is a metronome. Count the drops. 1, 2, 3. Everything is slow. Everything is heavy. Leave the warmth of the tent. Step back out into the night. The transition is a physical shock. The air inside was thick and humid, smelling of sleep. The air outside is a wall of cold. It hits the face like a wet hand. It finds the gaps in the tunic instantly. You are now standing on the vallum, the earth rampart that surrounds the camp. You are 6 feet above the ground. To your back is the sleeping legion. To your front is the unknown dark. This is the third watch, the tertia vigilia. It is the deepest part of the night. It is the time when the soul is most tired. It is the time when the world is most still. You are a sentry. You are one of the watchers. You are not allowed to sit. You are not allowed to lean heavily on your spear. You must stand. You must watch. The rain has stopped, or rather, it has changed form. The temperature has dropped below freezing. The drizzle has turned into a fine, dry snow. It does not fall straight down. It drifts. It floats. It dances in the air like dust motes in a sunbeam, but these are cold, white specks in the moonlight. The clouds have broken just enough to let a faint, watery moonlight filter through. It turns the landscape into a study of silver and black. Look at the forest edge, 200 yards away. It is a solid black wall. The trees are merged into a single dark mass. You cannot see the trunks. You cannot see the branches. You can only see the jagged line where the forest meets the sky. Nothing moves there. Nothing breathes there. It is just darkness. Your job is to stare at that darkness for hours. Shift your weight. You have been standing on your left leg. Now slowly transfer the weight to your right leg. The mud on top of the rampart is freezing. It is crunching now. The soft squelch of the evening has become a hard, uneven surface. The hobnails of your boots struggle to find purchase on the frozen earth. Crunch, a tiny sound. Your feet are cold. The lanolin helps, but the cold of the ground seeps through the leather sole, through the wool sock, and into the bone. Wiggle your toes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Do it inside the boot. No one can see. It keeps the blood moving. It reminds you that you are still there. You are wrapped in your pinula, the heavy hooded cloak. You have pulled the hood up over your helmet. The wool creates a tunnel for your vision. It blocks your peripheral sight. You can only see what is directly in front of you. Inside the hood, your breath creates a microclimate. You breathe out warm air. It hits the cold wool. It condenses. Tiny droplets of water form on the fibers of the cloak right in front of your mouth. They freeze into frost. Inhale, the air is sharp. It tastes of ice. Exhale. A cloud of steam obscures your vision for a second, then vanishes. You hold your pilum, your heavy javelin. The wooden shaft is thick and polished, but you do not hold the wood. You hold the spot where the wood meets the iron, or you hold it by the balance point wrapped in leather. Your hand is gloved or wrapped in a scrap of wool. The iron is deadly cold. If you touched it with bare skin, it would burn. Rest the butt of the spear on the ground. Thump. A dull vibration travels up your arm. Lean your shield, the scutum, against your leg. It is heavy. The plywood, the leather, the bronze rim. It is a burden, but it breaks the wind. The wind is coming from the north. It whistles softly as it hits the curved surface of the shield. Woo, a low, mournful note. There is another sentry 30 yards to your left. You can barely see him. He is just a dark, triangular shape against the sky, a silhouette of a cloak and a spear. He does not move. He might be asleep standing up, but he is not. He is watching the same darkness you are. There is another sentry 30 yards to your right, another dark shape. A chain of statues ringing the sleeping city. Listen to the silence. It is not empty. It is full of tiny, insignificant sounds that are amplified by the night. The creak of a tree branch in the forest, weighted down by snow. Crack. The rustle of dry grass as a small animal, a mouse perhaps, scurries under the snow. Scritch, scratch. The sound of your own heartbeat in your ears. Thump, thump. Thump, thump. Sometimes the mind plays tricks. You stare at a bush in the distance. Is it a bush, or is it a crouching man? You stare at it. You do not blink. Your eyes begin to water from the cold wind. The shape seems to move. It seems to shift to the left. Your grip tightens on the spear. Your heart rate speeds up slightly. You blink. You wipe the tear from your eye with a cold knuckle. You look again. It is just a bush. It has not moved. It is frozen in place. You exhale. The tension leaves your shoulders. It is just the boredom. Boredom is the soldier's true enemy. Not the barbarian, not the cold, but the endless waiting. The mind wants stimulation. It wants a story, but there is no story here. There is only the wait. To pass the time, you count. Count the snowflakes falling past your face. 1, 2, 3. A gust of wind blows them sideways. You lose count. Start again. 1, 2. Inside the camp, behind you, the fires have turned to ash. There is no smoke rising anymore. The tents are covered in a thin dusting of white snow. The camp looks like a graveyard of mounds. Silent. Still. Somewhere in the center of the camp, near the commander's tent, there is a clepsydra, a water clock. It is dripping water from one vessel to another, measuring the passing of the watch. Drip, drip, drip. You cannot hear it, but you know it is there. It is the only thing moving with purpose. It determines when you can sleep. You try to guess how much time has passed. Has it been an hour, 2 hours? It feels like a lifetime, but the moon has barely moved across the sky. The stars are fixed in their frozen positions. Orion is there, the hunter. He hangs low in the sky, his belt of 3 bright stars glittering through the mist. You look at him, he looks back. He has watched over thousands of legions. He is indifferent. Your nose is running, you sniff, sniff. The sound is loud in the quiet air. Your lips are chapped. You run your tongue over them. The saliva freezes instantly. A patrol is coming. You hear them before you see them. The crunch, crunch, crunch of boots on the frozen mud inside the wall. It is the Tesserales, the officer of the watch, and 2 guards. They are walking the perimeter. They are checking that the sentries are awake. They approach your position. You straighten up. You lift your spear slightly. You appear alert. The officer stops below you. He is a dark shape wrapped in fur. He holds a lantern, but the shutter is almost closed, letting out only a tiny sliver of yellow light. He whispers the challenge, "Victoria, victory." You whisper the response, "Roma, Rome." The words are soft puffs of steam. He nods. He does not speak further. He moves on to the next sentry. Crunch, crunch, crunch. The sound fades away. You are alone again. The brief interaction wakes you up for a moment, but soon the lethargy returns. The cold creates a drowsiness. It is a heavy, comfortable weight on the eyelids. It says, "Close your eyes just for a second." But you cannot. You force them open. You stare at the tree line. The snow is getting heavier. The flakes are larger now. They stick to your cloak. You are slowly turning white. You are becoming part of the landscape. A layer of snow forms on your shoulders. A layer forms on the rim of your shield. You do not brush it off. It acts as insulation. It is a blanket of ice. Reflect on the metal of your helmet. It is iron. It conducts the cold directly to your head. You wear a felt cap, a pileus underneath it, but the chill still finds a way. Your ears ache with a dull, throbbing pain. You tuck your chin down into your scarf. You pull your arms inside your cloak, hugging your chest. You rock back and forth on your heels. Rock back, rock forward, rock back, rock forward. The motion is hypnotic. It is a tiny movement in a vast, still world. Far away, an owl hoots. Hoo hoo. It is a soft, feathery sound. It is not threatening. It is just the sound of the forest breathing. The night is timeless. It feels as if the sun will never rise again. As if this gray and black world is the only reality. You are not a person anymore. You are a pair of eyes. You are a spear. You are a post. You think of the tent. You think of the warmth of the bodies huddled together. You can almost smell the smoke and the leather. You long for it. But there is a strange peace out here, too. There is no snoring. There is no jostling. There is only the vast, clean emptiness of the winter night. The air is so clean it hurts. It purifies the lungs. Inhale the silence. Exhale the noise of the day. Look at the ground below the wall. The ditch you dug earlier, the fossa, is collecting snow. The muddy water at the bottom is freezing over. A thin skin of ice is forming. If you threw a pebble, it would skate across the surface. Skitter, skitter. But you do not throw a pebble. You do not move. The snow muffles everything. The world is getting quieter and quieter. The white silence. It feels like the world is being wrapped in cotton wool. Your thoughts slow down to match the falling snow. One thought, pause, then another, pause, simple thoughts, cold, dark, wait. There is no past. There is no future. There is only the snow falling on the iron tip of your spear. The metal is wet. A drop of water runs down the blade, freezing as it goes. You are a Roman statue in a foreign land. You are the boundary of the empire, and you are very, very tired. Let the snow accumulate. Let the time pass. It will pass. It always does. The moon is slowly, imperceptibly sinking lower. The shadow of the wall is stretching out inch by inch across the snow-covered field. Watch the shadow. It is the slowest clock in the world. Leave the freezing wall. Leave the solitary sentry to his watch. Move inward, away from the wind, towards the center of the camp. Here the air changes. The sharp, biting cold of the open air is replaced by something thicker, something heavier. The smell hits you first. It is not an unpleasant smell, but it is strong. It smells of wet fur. It smells of damp straw. It smells of manure and warm bodies. You have entered the lines of the baggage train, the domain of the mules. The Roman legion does not walk alone. For every group of soldiers there is a mule, hundreds of them. They are standing in long, orderly rows, tethered to high picket lines strung between heavy wooden posts. It is darker here. The mules are crowded together for warmth. Their bodies create a wall of heat that pushes back against the winter night. Walk slowly down the line of sleeping animals. Most of them are asleep, but they do not lie down. They stand, locking their legs in place. Their heads hang low, almost touching the ground. Their long ears are relaxed, flopping sideways or drooping back. Listen to the sound of 500 mules breathing. Hua, shhh, hua, shhh. It is a massive, collective lung, a deep, resonant sound that vibrates in the air. Clouds of steam rise from their nostrils. In the dim moonlight, the steam looks like a low-hanging fog that hovers just above the ground. It swirls around their legs. The rain has turned to snow, and the snow settles on the backs of the mules. They do not shake it off. They are too tired. The snow sits on their thick, coarse coats. It does not melt immediately because their outer fur is thick and oily, insulating the skin beneath. They look like gray ghosts dusted with white powder. Stop in front of one mule. He is a large animal, dark brown, with a white patch on his nose. He is awake, but only just. He is chewing. Crunch, grind, crunch, grind. He has a mouthful of hay, pulled from a net hanging on the line. The hay is dry and brittle. It makes a dry, crackling sound as his heavy jaw moves sideways. Grind, pause, grind, pause. It is the most rhythmic sound in the camp. It is a slow, circular motion. The jaw slides left. The jaw slides right. The teeth pulverize the dried grass. Watch the muscles in his cheek working. Tense, relax, tense, relax. There is no urgency in his eating. He eats because he is a machine that turns grass into movement. Tomorrow he will carry the tents. He will carry the millstones. He will carry the pickaxes. But tonight he just chews. The leather halter on his face is worn. It is dark with sweat and rain. It rubs against his skin as he chews. Squeak, squeak, a tiny, high-pitched sound of leather friction. Next to him, another mule shifts his weight. The mud here is deep, churned up by hundreds of hooves. It creates a sucking sound. Schlup. The mule lifts a hoof. The mud releases it. He places it down a few inches to the left. Splat. He settles. He sighs. A long, shuddering breath that ripples through his whole body. His skin twitches, dislodging a few flakes of snow. Behind the mule lines, the equipment is stacked. The kleidely, the pack saddles. They are wooden frames, heavy and sturdy. They are stacked in piles, covered with oiled tarps to keep them dry. Rain drums on the tarps. Tap, 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 tap. Beneath the tarps, the smell of leather oil is intense. The saddles are resting. The straps are coiled. The buckles are cold iron. Near the saddles, the muleteers, the calones, are sleeping. These are the servants, the slaves, the freedmen who manage the animals. They do not have tents like the soldiers. They sleep here among the beasts. They have made nests for themselves in the straw and the baggage. They are curled up under rough blankets, pressed against the warm flanks of the mules, or huddled between the stacks of saddles. You can hear their breathing mixing with the breathing of the animals. It is hard to tell where the man ends and the beast begins. They are all part of the same organism. One of the muleteers wakes up. He sits up slowly. He rubs his face. He is wrapped in a sheepskin vest. He looks at the mules. He checks the line. Everything is secure. He stands up. His knees crack. Pop. He walks over to a water trough, a simple leather bucket filled from the stream. He picks it up. The water sloshes, splish splash. He walks to the brown mule. He offers the bucket. The mule smells the water. He dips his nose in. Slurp, slurp, slurp. The sound of drinking. Long, deep draughts of water. The throat of the mule moves. Gulp, gulp. The water level drops. The mule lifts his head. Water drips from his muzzle. Drip, drip, drip. The muleteer pats the mule's neck. A heavy, rhythmic patting. Thump, thump, thump. Dust and snow fly off the coat. Easy, the man whispers. The word is lost in the steam. He puts the bucket down. He goes back to his pile of straw. He lies down. He pulls the blanket over his head. Within moments, his breathing slows again. He is back asleep. The scene returns to stillness. There is a sense of immense patience here. The animals do not know where they are going. They do not know why they are here. They only know the load and the rest. They accept the rain. They accept the cold. Their tails swish occasionally. Swish, swish. A reflex to chase away flies that are not there in the winter. It is just a habit. Look at the ground again. The mixture of straw and mud and snow. It is a texture of chaos. Yellow stalks of straw trampled into the gray clay. The snow is slowly covering it all, smoothing out the roughness. The heat radiating from the animals melts the snow closest to the ground. A faint mist rises from the floor knee-high. It makes the legs of the mules look like they are standing in a cloud. Farther down the line, there are the horses of the officers. They are different. They are more restless. A horse paws the ground. Scrape, scrape. The iron shoe hits a stone. Click. The horses are blanketed in wool. Their manes are braided or hogged. They hold their heads higher. They smell the wind. But even they are subdued by the night. They are not prancing chargers now. They are just cold animals waiting for the sun. The smell of ammonia from the wet ground is sharp. It clears the sinuses. It is a real smell, an honest smell. You are standing in the warmest place in the camp. The combined body heat of 500 large animals raises the temperature by a few degrees. It feels safe here. It feels crowded, but in a comforting way, like being in a crowded room on a winter day. A chain rattles, jingle jangle. A mule shakes his head, rattling the metal chain that ties him to the post. The sound carries down the line. It triggers a few others to shift. Then silence returns. Focus on the eye of the mule. It is dark, large, and liquid. It reflects the tiny amount of light from the moon. It blinks slowly. a heavy eyelid coming down and going up, down and up. There is no thought behind that eye, only presence. He is here, you are here. The rhythm of the chewing continues, crunch, grind. It is a lullaby of grain and grass. The hay net swings gently as the mule pulls at it, back and forth. A pendulum. Time is measured in mouthfuls of hay. The wooden posts of the picket line are thick trunks of pine. They are rough with bark. They are wet. The rope tied around them is swollen and tight. The knot is complex. A soldier's knot. It will not slip. Everything is secure. The animals are fed. The animals are watered. The animals are waiting. You can lean against one of the posts. Feel the rough bark against your back. Feel the slight vibration of the ground as the animals shift. Close your eyes. Smell the damp wool. Smell the hay. Listen to the breathing. Hua, shhh, hua, shhh. It is a slow, tidal sound. It washes over you. It drowns out the cold wind outside. The night is deep. The dawn is hours away. There is nothing to do here but wait, just exist, like the mule standing in the rain, chewing, breathing, sleeping. Leave the heavy, earthy atmosphere of the mule lines. Walk quietly through the mud, past the rows of sleeping tents. You are moving towards the center of the camp, near the headquarters. Here the tents are larger. They are arranged in a specific square formation. This is the valetudinarium, the field hospital. The moment you step through the entrance flap, the world changes. The cold wind is gone. The smell of wet animals is gone. The air here is warm. It is thick and heavy, but it smells clean. It smells of sharp vinegar. It smells of dried sage and thyme. It smells of warm honey. It is a medicinal herbal scent that clears the head and settles the stomach. It is darker here than outside. The only light comes from small clay oil lamps placed on wooden crates. The flames are tiny, flickering orange tongues that cast long, dancing shadows on the canvas walls. The silence here is different. It is not the silence of exhaustion. It is the silence of healing. It is a respectful, hushed silence. Rows of cots line the walls of the tent. Simple wooden frames with canvas stretched across them. On each cot lies a soldier. These are not the men dying of wounds. There is no drama here. These are the men with the camp sickness. A fever, a twisted ankle from the march, a bad cough from the damp air. They are sleeping. Walk softly down the aisle between the cots. The ground here is covered in thick woven mats to dampen the sound of footsteps. Your boots make no noise. Hush, hush, hush. Focus on the capsarius, the medical orderly. He is sitting on a low stool near a brazier. He is an older man, his face lined with fatigue, but his hands are steady. He is awake while the others sleep. He is preparing a poultice. Watch his hands, they are clean. He has washed them in vinegar. He holds a small stone mortar in his lap. He takes a pinch of dried leaves from a ceramic jar. Sage. It is gray-green and brittle. He drops the leaves into the mortar. Crinkle. He picks up the pestle. It is made of smooth marble. Grind, grind, grind. The sound is very faint, stone rubbing against stone. It is a gentle, circular rhythm. He is crushing the leaves into a powder. The smell of the sage becomes stronger as it is crushed. It is a dusty, savory smell. He stops. He taps the pestle on the side of the mortar to knock off the dust. Tap, tap. He reaches for a jar of honey. He pulls out the cork stopper. Pop. The cork squeaks slightly against the clay rim. He dips a wooden spoon into the honey. It is thick, dark amber. It moves slowly. He lifts the spoon. A long, golden thread of honey stretches from the jar to the spoon. It gets thinner and thinner until it breaks. Drip. He mixes the honey with the sage. He stirs it, squish, squish. It becomes a thick, sticky paste. The orderly stands up slowly. He moves to the cot of a sleeping soldier. This soldier has a swollen knee. The skin is red and tight. The orderly moves the blanket aside. The wool is rough, but he moves it gently. He does not wake the man. He takes a piece of linen. It is clean, white fabric washed and boiled. He spreads the sticky paste onto the linen. Spread, smooth, spread. He places the linen on the swollen knee. The soldier stirs slightly, feeling the cool fabric, but he does not wake. He sighs and settles deeper into the pillow. Now the bandage. The orderly takes a roll of linen strip. He begins to wrap the knee, over and under, over and under. The sound of the fabric sliding against itself is like a whisper. Swish, swish. He wraps it firmly but not too tight. He ties the end in a flat knot. He covers the soldier again with the blanket. He tucks the edges in. The soldier is a cocoon of warmth. The orderly moves back to his stool. His work is done for the moment. He sits. He stares at the lamp. Listen to the breathing in the tent. There are 20 men here. Some breathe deeply and slowly. Hua, hua. Some breathe with a slight rasp, a chest cold. Hua, ka, hua. It is a chorus of rest. The rain outside taps gently on the roof. Because these tents are double-layered for warmth, the sound is muffled. It sounds very far away. You are insulated from the storm. Look at the table next to the orderly. There are instruments, a bronze probe, a pair of shears, a small glass vial. They are laid out in perfect order, metal on wood. They gleam in the lamplight. There is a bowl of water with a sponge floating in it. The water is still. The sponge is brown and porous. It is waiting to be used. The air is warm enough that you can feel your own muscles relaxing. The tension in your neck releases. The warmth of the brazier reaches you. The brazier is filled with high-quality charcoal. It burns cleanly without much smoke. The embers are a soft, pulsing orange. Glow, dim, glow, dim. Watch the flame of the oil lamp. It is burning olive oil. The oil is yellow and viscous. The wick is black at the tip. The flame is shaped like a teardrop. It is perfectly still for a long time. Then a draft from somewhere makes it dance. It stretches tall, then shrinks back down, tall and small. A soldier 2 cots away turns over. The wood of the cot creaks, creak. The straw mattress rustles. Rustle, he mutters something in his sleep. A name, a command, it is unintelligible. Then he is silent again. The orderly picks up a cup of warm water. He takes a sip. He swallows, gulp. He sets the cup down, click. Everything here is done with care. There is no rushing. In the hospital, time is measured in healing, not in marching. You can smell the beeswax. The canvas of the tent has been treated with it to make it waterproof. When the brazier warms the air, the scent of the wax is released. It is a sweet, heavy smell. Imagine the texture of the blankets. They are heavy wool, but they have been felted. They are dense. They trap the heat effectively. Imagine lying under one. The weight of it presses you down into the cot. You cannot move easily, and you do not want to. You are pinned down by warmth. The shadows on the ceiling are hypnotic. They are the shadows of the tent poles and the hanging herbs. Bundles of dried herbs hang from the ridgepole, drying in the warm air. Lavender, chamomile, yarrow. Their shadows sway slightly. Left, right, left, right. The orderly closes his eyes for a moment. He does not sleep, but he rests his eyes. He is the guardian of the quiet. You are safe here. In the middle of the wild frontier, in the middle of the winter night, there is this pocket of care. No one will ask you to march. No one will ask you to dig. You just have to lie there and let the body mend itself. The body knows what to do, it just needs time. The heart beats, Thump thump, the blood flows, the lungs fill. Focus on a single drop of condensation running down the inside of the tent wall. It starts high up near the roof. It slides down slowly. It leaves a tiny dark trail on the canvas. It meets another drop. They merge. They become heavy. They slide faster. Then they stop, absorbed into the fabric near the ground. It is a slow, silent journey. The lamp flickers again. The oil is getting low. The orderly opens his eyes. He reaches for a small jug. He pours a little more oil into the lamp. Glug, glug, the flame brightens. The shadows sharpen for a moment, then soften again. The night is deep and endless. The valetudinarium is a ship floating on a sea of darkness. Inside, it is all soft edges and warm air. There is nothing to fear. The pain is being managed. The cold is being kept out. The watch is being kept. You can sit in the corner on a pile of spare blankets, lean your head back, smell the sage, smell the honey, listen to the rain. Hush, hushy. The world is asleep. The only thing that matters is the slow, steady rhythm of breath. In, out, in, out. Walk away from the hospital tent. The smell of sage fades. The smell of wet wool fades. You are entering the Principia, the headquarters. It is a large wooden structure built in the center of the camp. It has a roof of wooden shingles, not leather. The rain sounds different here. Thud, thud, thud. It is a solid wooden sound, a sound of permanence in a temporary world. Step inside the office of the clerks, the tabularium. The air here is dry. It is kept dry on purpose. Moisture is the enemy of paper. Moisture is the enemy of records. The room smells of old dust. It smells of dry reeds. It smells of soot and gum arabic. It smells of beeswax. It is the smell of a library, ancient and enclosed. There is no wind here. The heavy woolen curtains over the doorway block the draft. The air is still. It is stagnant. It preserves the silence. In the center of the room there is a desk. It is a heavy table made of oak. The surface is smooth, polished by years of elbows and scrolls. A single man is sitting there. He is a librarius, a clerk of the Legion. He is not sleeping. He is working. The empire runs on steel, but it is organized by ink. He is sitting on a high wooden stool. His back is curved over the table. He is wrapped in a tunic of fine wool, dry and clean. Watch his hands. They are stained with black ink. The fingertips are dark. There is a callus on his middle finger, a hard bump of skin formed by holding the pen for 10,000 hours. He is writing a report, the morning report. It must be ready by dawn. On the table there is a wax tablet, a tabula. It is a rectangular frame of wood filled with black beeswax. He holds a stylus. It is a sharp, pointed instrument made of bone. He writes on the wax, scritch, scritch, scritch. The sound is sharp. It is the sound of the bone cutting into the soft wax. He is making notes, draft calculations. Scritch, pause, scritch, pause. He makes a mistake. He flips the stylus over. The other end is flat like a spatula. He presses the flat end into the wax. Rub, smooth, rub, smooth. The error disappears. The wax is flat and black again. It is ready for the truth. He writes the number again. Scritch. Next to the tablet there is a scroll of papyrus. It is unrolled, held open by two bronze weights. The papyrus is Egyptian. It has traveled thousands of miles to be here in the cold mud of the north. Look at the texture of the papyrus. You can see the grid of the plant fibers. Horizontal lines crossing vertical lines. It is rough, beige, and dry. The clerk picks up his pen. The calamus. It is a reed cut to a sharp point. The nib is split to hold the ink. He dips the pen into an inkwell. The inkwell is a small ceramic pot. The ink, the atramentum, is made of soot mixed with water and binding gum. It is black as the deepest night. Dip, the reed touches the bottom of the pot. Click, he lifts it. He wipes the excess ink on the rim. Tap. He moves the pen to the scroll. He begins to write. Scratch, scratch, scratch. This sound is different from the wax. It is dry. It is the sound of dried reed on dried plant. It is a whispering, friction-filled sound. He is writing a list of grain supplies. Fermentum, modii, c, lv, wheat, bushels, 155. He writes slowly. The letters are capital block letters, Roman square capitals. They are perfect. They are identical. The vertical lines are thick. The horizontal lines are thin. The ink flows from the reed. It glistens wet and black for a moment. Then, as you watch, it dries. It turns matte. It sinks into the fibers. It becomes permanent. Scratch, dip, scratch, dip. The rhythm is mesmerizing. It is the heartbeat of bureaucracy. There is no emotion in the writing, just facts, just numbers. The clerk stops to check a calculation. He uses an abacus. The abacus is a bronze plate with grooves. Small bronze beads slide in the grooves. Click, he slides a bead up. Click, click. He slides 2 beads down. Clack. The sound of the beads is bright and metallic. It cuts through the dusty silence. Click, clack, slide, click. He stares at the beads. He nods. He picks up the pen again. Dip, scratch. The lamp on the table is steady. It is a bronze lamp with 2 nozzles, 2 flames. It casts a bright pool of light on the paperwork. The rest of the room is in shadow. Behind the clerk there are shelves. Nidai, pigeonholes. They are filled with scrolls, hundreds of them. Some are white and new. Some are yellow and old. They are stacked in a honeycomb pattern. Focus on the dust motes dancing in the light of the lamp. The room is so still that the dust barely moves. It hangs in the air, suspended. Golden specks floating over the black ink. The clerk sighs. It is a dry, papery sigh. He rubs his eyes with the back of his hand, careful not to smudge the ink. He reaches for a small cup of water. Sip. He sets it down. The water ripples slightly, then becomes glass again. He picks up a small knife. The scalpellum. The nib of his reed pen has become soft. It is not writing sharp lines. He holds the reed. He places the knife blade against it. Slice. He cuts a thin sliver of reed. It falls to the table. Slice. He reshapes the point. Slice. He cuts the slit. Snick. It is a precise, delicate operation. The sound of the sharp blade cutting the hollow reed is satisfying. Crisp. He tests the new point on a scrap of papyrus. Line, circle. It is sharp. It is ready. He returns to the list. Oleum, oil, venom, wine, acetum, vinegar. The list goes on forever. The Legion eats. The Legion wears out boots. The Legion breaks tools. Everything must be counted. Everything must be written down. To the side of the table there is a stack of wooden tablets tied together with leather thongs. Correspondence. The clerk unties the knot. Fumble. Loosen. The leather falls away. He opens the wooden leaves. Clack. Wood hitting wood. He reads the letter. It is a request for more nails. He creates a new entry on his scroll. Clavy. Nails. The room feels timeless. This could be tonight. It could be 100 years ago. It could be 100 years from now. The work is always the same. The recording of things. The preserving of order against the chaos of the world. The rain outside is just a distant rumor. Here, there is only the logic of the list. The clerk shifts on his stool. The wood creaks. Groan. He stretches his neck. Crack. He settles back down. The shadows in the corners of the room are deep. They hide the stacks of old records. The history of the Legion is in those shadows. names of men long dead, lists of pay long spent. It is all just dust and ink now. Watch the inkwell again. The black surface of the liquid is like a black mirror. It reflects the flame of the lamp. A tiny, perfect, inverted flame burning in the black water. The clerk dips the pen, he breaks the reflection. Ripple, he lifts the ink, he writes. There is a sand shaker on the table, a small jar with holes in the lid filled with fine sand. He finishes a section of the scroll. The ink is still wet. He picks up the shaker. Shake, shake. Fine sand falls onto the wet ink. It sounds like sugar falling on a table. Hiss. The sand absorbs the excess ink. He waits. 1 beat, 2 beats. He lifts the scroll and tilts it. Swish. The sand slides off the papyrus and falls into a tray. The ink is dry. The letters are bold. He rolls up that section of the scroll. Crinkle. Roll, crinkle. Roll. The dry papyrus protests slightly as it is curled. He unrolls a fresh section. A blank white expanse. A field of snow waiting for footprints. He blinks. His eyelids are heavy. The warmth of the room, the stillness, the repetition. It is a struggle to stay awake, but he continues. There is comfort in the routine. Letter after letter. Number after number. The abacus waits. The stylus waits. The wax waits. You can close your eyes and just listen to the sounds of the office. Scratch, click, rustle, dip, scratch. It is a dry, rhythmic percussion. It is the sound of civilization. It is the sound of boredom. Let the dryness of the room dry out your thoughts. Let the dust settle on your mind. Everything is accounted for. Everything is listed. Nothing is missing. You do not need to worry about the details. The clerk is handling them. He will write all night. He will count every bean. He will track every nail. You can leave him to his work. He does not look up. He does not see you. He only sees the next line on the scroll. Scratch, 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 dip. The lamp burns on. The ink flows on. The night stretches out on the papyrus, measured in inches of writing. Step out of the dry silence of the clerk's office. The heavy curtain falls back into place behind you. You are back in the night air for a moment, crossing a muddy lane. Ahead you see a different kind of light. It is not the yellow flicker of an oil lamp. It is a deep, pulsing red glow coming from a low, open-sided tent. This is the fabrica, the workshop. The Roman legion is a machine made of iron, and iron breaks. It rusts. It bends. Here in the middle of the night, the iron is made whole again. Enter the warmth. The air here is dry and hot. It smells intensely of charcoal dust. It smells of hot metal, a sharp metallic tang that tastes like a copper coin in your mouth. It smells of scorched leather. There is a small field forge in the center. It is not a roaring bonfire. It is a contained bed of coals, glowing with a fierce, steady heat. A Faber, a smith, stands by the fire. He is a massive man, wearing a leather apron over his tunic. His arms are bare, stained with soot and old burns. He does not move quickly. He moves with the slow, deliberate economy of a man who has worked with fire for 40 years. Listen to the breath of the fire. Next to the forge is a set of leather bellows. A young apprentice sits on a stool, working them. He lifts the handle. The leather bag expands, sucking in air with a wheezing sound. Wheeze. He pushes the handle down. The air is forced into the coals. Woo-wash. The coals respond instantly. They brighten from a dull red to a bright, angry orange. A few sparks fly up, swirling in the heat currents before vanishing into the dark roof of the tent. Wheeze, woo-wash, wheeze, woo-wash. It is the rhythm of breathing, deep assisted breathing. The forge is alive. The smith is holding a pilum head with a pair of long iron tongs. The tip of the weapon has been bent, likely by hitting a stone during practice or travel. He places the tip into the heart of the fire. He waits. He watches the color of the metal. He is not looking for white heat, just a dull cherry red. He knows the color by heart. He waits. The fire hisses softly. SSSS. The metal warms. He pulls the iron out. It glows softly in the dim tent. He places it on a small anvil. It is a block of iron set into a stump of wood. He picks up a hammer. It is a small hammer, not a sledgehammer. He does not swing it wildly. He taps. Tink, 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 tink. The sound is high-pitched and clear. It is not a crash. It is a delicate shaping. He taps the bent tip. The hot metal yields. It moves back into alignment. Tap, tap, tap. He turns the metal. Tap, tap. He checks it with his eye. He sights down the length of the iron. It is straight. He dips the hot metal into a bucket of oil to cool it. Hiss, SSSS. A cloud of white smoke billows up, smelling of burnt oil. The sound is a sharp, aggressive exhale that fades into a bubbling murmur. Burble, burble. The smith sets the pilum aside. He picks up a rag. He wipes his hands. The rag is black with grease. Now move your attention to the bench on the side. Another soldier is working there. He is fixing armor. Larica hamata, chainmail. The coat of mail is laid out on the bench like a heavy steel fabric. It is made of 20,000 tiny iron rings. Each ring is riveted shut. The soldier is searching for broken rings. He runs his hand over the mesh. Swish, clink, swish, clink. It sounds like water flowing over pebbles, a fluid, metallic sound. He finds a gap. A ring has snapped. He picks up 2 pliers. He takes a new ring from a small wooden box. He inserts the ring. Click. He threads it through the neighboring rings. Click. He picks up a tiny rivet, no bigger than a grain of rice. He places it in the hole of the ring. He takes a special pair of pincers. He squeezes. Crunch. The rivet flattens. The ring is closed. The fabric is whole again. It is incredibly tedious work. Ring by ring, thousands of rings, but he is patient. He hums a low, tuneless melody under his breath. He moves to the next section. Swish, clink. On another bench there is the sound of the whetstone. A soldier is sharpening a gladius, the short sword. The stone is gray and smooth. He pours a little water on it from a flask. Drip, drip. The water sits on the surface of the stone. He lays the blade against the stone at a perfect angle. He pushes the blade forward. Sa-cha-cha-cha-tring. He pulls it back. Sa-cha-cha-cha-tring. It is a scraping, singing sound. It sets the teeth on edge at first, but then it becomes a rhythm. Forward and back, forward and back. The water on the stone turns gray. It is full of microscopic particles of steel and stone. The swarf. He wipes the blade with a cloth. He checks the edge with his thumb. He does not cut himself. He just feels the grab of the burr. He adds more water. Drip. He continues. Sa-cha-cha-cha-tring. Sa-cha-cha-cha-tring. The repetition is total. The mind empties. There is only the angle and the pressure. The blade must be perfect. Not for war, but because a dull tool is a lazy tool. The shadows in the tent are long and jumping. Every time the bellows pump, the light flares and the shadows dance on the canvas walls. Flare, fade, flare, fade. Look at the floor of the tent. It is covered in black dust, iron filings, coal dust, ash. If you step there, your footprints would be black. Sparkles of metal catch the light in the dirt, tiny stars in the mud. There is a bucket of sand in the corner. Inside, swords are plunged deep into the sand. This cleans them. A soldier walks over. He pulls a sword out of the sand. Shh-whip. The sound of metal sliding against grit. He plunges it back in. Chunk. He pulls it out. Whip. The sand scours the rust away. It polishes the blade. It is a primitive, effective cleaning machine. Up and down, up and down. The heat in the tent is soporific. It makes the eyelids heavy. The contrast between the freezing night outside and this pocket of intense heat is drug-like. You feel the warmth radiating from the forge against your skin. It penetrates the clothes. It warms the bones. The smith sighs. He leans against the anvil block. He is resting for a moment between tasks. He wipes sweat from his forehead with his forearm. He stares into the coals. The fire is a living thing. It consumes the charcoal. The coals shift and settle, crinkle, pop. A piece of charcoal breaks apart. The fire rearranges itself. The apprentice stops pumping for a moment. The roar of the fire dies down to a quiet glow. The silence rushes back in, filled only by the shing of the sharpening stone. There is a stack of raw iron bars in the corner, cold, dark, heavy. They are waiting their turn. They have no shape yet. They are just potential. There is a stack of broken tools in the other corner, twisted metal, cracked wood, the refuse of the Legion. Here in the fabrica, the broken becomes whole, the dull becomes sharp. The cycle continues. Watch the oil lamp hanging from a hook. It swings slightly in the heat rising from the forge. It casts a moving shadow of the hook on the ceiling, back and forth, back and forth. The soldier fixing the chainmail stops. He stretches his fingers, they are cramped. He shakes his hands out. Shake, shake. He picks up the pliers again. He bends his head. He returns to the sea of rings. Click, crunch. The work is never done. There is always another ring. There is always another blade, but there is no rush. The night is long. The atmosphere is one of quiet competence. These men are not talking. They are communicating through the sounds of their tools. The tap of the hammer says, I am shaping. The hiss of the steam says, I am cooling. The scrape of the stone says, I am sharpening. It is a conversation of metal. You can sit on a wooden crate in the corner. The wood is warm. Lean back against the tent pole. Close your eyes. Let the sounds wash over you. Wheeze, woo-wash, tink, tink, tring. It is a lullaby of industry. The sparks fly up behind your closed eyelids, orange and red, fading to black. The smell of the coal dust is dry and grounding. The heat is a heavy blanket. You are safe in the workshop. The iron protects you. The smith picks up a file. He begins to file the edge of a tool. Rasp, 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 rasp. The sound is rough, dry, and rhythmic. It rubs away the imperfections. It smooths the world down, layer by layer, stroke by stroke. The night deepens, the fire glows, the work goes on. Leave the warmth of the workshop. Leave the rhythmic tapping of the hammer. Step back into the mud, but only for a moment. You are walking towards the largest tent in the camp. It is a long, low structure, essentially a warehouse made of leather and wood. This is the horium, the granary, the storehouse. It is the belly of the Legion. Enter the tent. The air here is different from anywhere else. It is cool, but it is not freezing. It is dry. It smells of dust and dry grass. It smells of old clay. It smells of wax and resin. It is a smell of preservation. It is very dark. The only light comes from a single lantern hanging near the entrance, and the faint moonlight filtering through the heavy canvas roof. Your eyes adjust slowly. As they do, shapes begin to emerge from the gloom. Rows and rows of shapes. To your left there are the amphorae, the clay jars. They are standing upright, packed tightly together in wooden racks filled with straw to stop them from bumping. They are tall, elegant vessels. The clay is a pale, sandy color, but in the dark it looks gray. Walk down the aisle of jars. Run your hand in your mind over the surface of an amphora. It is cool to the touch. It is rough like fine sandpaper. It is unglazed terracotta. You can feel the tiny imperfections in the clay, the marks left by the potter's fingers when it was turned on a wheel thousands of miles away. These jars hold the olive oil, the oleum. The oil is thick and green gold. It is sleeping inside the clay. It does not move. It is heavy. If you were to tap the side of the jar with your knuckle, it would make a dull, full sound. Thud. Not a ring, a thud. It speaks of density. The mouth of the jar is sealed with a cork stopper, and the cork is covered in a thick layer of beeswax to keep the air out. Look at the seal. It is a smooth black circle. A thumbprint is pressed into the wax, a mark of ownership, a mark of counting. Next to the oil there are the wine jars, the venom. These jars are slightly different in shape, longer necks, pointed bottoms. The smell of vinegar and grapes hangs very faintly in the air around them, a ghost of a scent. There are hundreds of them, a forest of clay. They are waiting. They are patient. They have traveled across the sea, up the rivers, over the mountains, just to stand here in the dark. Listen to the silence of the jars. It is a heavy silence. The liquid inside absorbs sound. It dampens the world. Now look to your right. Here are the sacks, the sachi. They are piled high, stacked like bricks in a wall. They reach almost to the roof of the tent. These sacks hold the grain, the wheat, the barley. The fabric of the sacks is coarse burlap. It is scratchy and brown. You can see the weave of the fabric, thick threads crossing over and under, under. The sacks are bulging with the grain. They are heavy and rounded. They look soft, but if you leaned against one, it would be as hard as a rock. The grain is packed tight. There is a smell of dry dust coming from them, a harvest smell. It reminds you of summer fields, of sun baking the earth. But here it is cold and dark. A mouse moves somewhere in the shadows. Scritch, scratch. It is a tiny sound. It stops. The mouse is listening. Then it moves again. Scritch. It is not a disturbance. It is just a tiny heartbeat in the room of dead weight. Walk further into the tent. The floor here is raised on wooden pallets to keep the supplies off the damp ground. The wood creaks under your feet. Creak. Groan. It is a slow, complaining sound. The wood is old. It has borne the weight of the empire for a long time. In the back of the tent there are the hard cheeses, great wheels of pecorino. They are stacked in columns. The rinds are yellow and hard as wood. The smell here is sharper, a savory, milky smell. It is dense and rich. A quartermaster is walking through the aisles. He is an old man, a veteran who can no longer march in the front line. He holds a lantern. The light swings gently. Sway, sway. The shadows of the jars lengthen and shorten as he walks. He is checking for leaks. He is checking for dampness. He stops at a sack of grain. He touches it. Pat, pat, it is dry. He nods. He moves to an amphora. He runs his finger around the seal. Rub, it is intact. He does not speak. He does not hurry. He is the curator of the food. His boots shuffle on the wooden floor. S-H-A-Ch chuff. S-H-A-Ch chuff. He carries a tally stick, a piece of wood with notches carved into it. He runs his thumb over the notches. 1, 2, 3. He is counting without thinking. It is a ritual. The air is so still that dust motes hang suspended in the beam of the lantern, perfectly motionless. They look like tiny stars caught in amber. There are other things here too. Bundles of spare leather thongs tied together. They smell of tannin and oak bark. Boxes of nails, heavy and immovable. Rolls of linen for bandages. Everything is static. Everything is potential. The oil waits to be burned in a lamp. The grain waits to be ground in a mill. The leather waits to be a shoe, but not tonight. Tonight they just exist. There is a comfort in this abundance. The legion will not starve. The walls of sacks are a fortification against hunger. You can feel safe here, surrounded by the harvest. Lean against a stack of grain sacks. The burlap is rough against your back, but the shape conforms to your body slightly. It is solid. You can feel the thermal mass of the grain. It holds a stable temperature. It is neither hot nor cold. It is neutral. Listen to the rain on the roof of this tent. Because the tent is so large, the sound is different. It is a vast, echoing murmur. Huyumum. It sounds like the ocean far away. The quartermaster sits down on a crate. He sets the lantern on the floor. He pulls a piece of hard bread from his pouch. He breaks it. Crack. He eats slowly. Chew, chew. He is watching his domain. The rows of jars, the walls of sacks. He is content. The shadows are deep and soft here. There are no sharp edges. Everything is rounded. The round jars, the round sacks, the round wheels of cheese. It is a landscape of curves. Your eyes grow heavy looking at the repetition. Jar after jar after jar. Sack after sack after sack. There is no end to them. They fade into the darkness at the back of the tent. If you were to count them, you would fall asleep instantly. 1 jar, 2 jars, 3 jars, 4. The lantern light flickers. The flame is getting low. The shadows jump once, then settle back down. The quartermaster sighs. It is a long, wheezing sigh of an old man. He rests his head in his hands. He is just resting his eyes. The silence of the storehouse is a physical weight. It presses gently on your ears. It is the silence of things that do not breathe. The silence of dust. The silence of stone. You are floating in a sea of supplies, drifting past the islands of grain, drifting past the cliffs of cheese. The smell of the wax on the jars is hypnotic, sweet and earthy. It coats the inside of your nose. It slows down your breathing. The mouse scampers again, scritch-scratch, then silence. Nothing happens here. Nothing changes here. The grain sits, the oil sits, the wine sits. It is the most boring place in the world, and it is perfect. The structure of the tent holds firm against the night. The heavy timber poles are rooted in the ground. You can see the grain of the wood in the dim light, knots and swirls. Follow the line of a crack in the wood with your eyes, up, 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 to the roof. The canvas ripples slightly in a gust of wind outside. Flap, just once. Then it is still again. The quartermaster closes his eyes. The mouse sleeps in its hole. The oil sleeps in the jar. You are part of the inventory now. You are just another bundle resting in the dark, safe, dry, quiet. We return now to the beginning. We return to the tent. The circle is complete. The march is done. The work is done. The eating is done. The watching is done. Now there is only the sleeping. Outside the tent, the fire of the contubernium has burned down. 2 hours ago it was flames. 1 hour ago it was bright red coals. Now it is a pile of gray ash. If you look closely, very closely, you might see a single tiny pulse of dull red deep inside the mound of ash. It glows, and then it fades. Glow, fade, glow, fade. It is the heartbeat of the fire slowing down to stop. It gives off no more heat. The cold has reclaimed the ground around it. The mud is freezing hard again. But inside the tent, the heat remains. It is trapped here. The leather walls hold it in. The bodies of the sleeping men hold it in. It is pitch black. There is no light at all. If you opened your eyes, you would see the same thing as if you closed them. A soft, velvety blackness. You are lying on your side. The ground is hard, yes. It is the earth, but you have made a hollow for your hip in the straw. You have pulled the heavy wool blanket up to your chin. Feel the weight of the blanket. It is heavy. It presses down on your shoulder. It presses down on your hip. It presses down on your feet. This weight is good. It anchors you. It stops you from moving. You are wrapped in a cocoon of wool and leather. The rough texture of the wool against your cheek is familiar. It scratches slightly, but you do not mind. It is the feeling of safety. Listen to the breathing in the tent. Earlier it was distinct. You could hear individual men. Now it has merged into one sound, a low, continuous hum. Who, shhh, who, shhh. It is the sound of the ocean. It is the sound of the wind in the trees. It is a white noise that fills the dark space. One soldier shifts in his sleep. Rustle, he murmurs a single sound. Then he settles. He sinks deeper into the straw. The air is thick. It is heavy with carbon dioxide and sleep. It makes your own breathing slow down. You take a breath. Inhale, it is slow. It fills your belly. Exhale, it leaves your body without effort. You do not need to think about breathing. The body does it for you. You do not need to think about tomorrow. Tomorrow does not exist yet. There is only this moment. This dark, warm box in the middle of the night. Outside, the snow has covered the camp. The mud is gone. The dirt is gone. Everything is white and smooth. The sharp edges of the ditch are rounded by the snow. The black shapes of the tents are softened by the snow. The world is being erased by the white powder. The road you marched on, covered, the footprints you made, filled in, the history you made today, gone. It is as if you never marched at all. You have always been here, lying in this tent. Imagine the sentry on the wall, the one we saw earlier. He is still there. He is a statue of ice. He is watching the tree line so you do not have to. He is awake so you can sleep. Trust him. He will not leave his post. You are safe. The sounds of the camp have vanished completely. The mules are asleep. The smith is asleep. The clerk is asleep. The orderly is asleep. The empire has stopped moving. The great machine has ground to a halt. Now focus on your own body. Start with your feet. They were cold before. Now they are warm. They are heavy chunks of lead. You could not move them if you wanted to. Let them sink into the straw. Your legs, the muscles that marched 20 miles today, they are loose. The tension is draining out of them like water draining from a cup. They are sinking. Your back, it is supported by the earth. The earth is strong. It can hold you. You do not need to hold yourself up. Let go of your spine. Let it settle. Your shoulders, drop them. Let them fall away from your ears. Your arms are heavy ropes lying by your side. Your hands are open. The fingers are curled loosely. They are not gripping a spear. They are not gripping a shovel. They are empty. Your face, smooth out your forehead. Unclench your jaw. Let your tongue rest in the bottom of your mouth. Your eyes are heavy. The eyelids are sealed shut. There is nothing to see. There is nothing to do. You are just a warm object in a dark room. The rain has stopped completely now. Even the snow has stopped. The silence outside is absolute. It is a vacuum of sound. The only thing left is the internal sound of your own existence. The slow thrum of your blood, swish, swish, in your ears. You are drifting. You are a boat on a calm lake at night. There is no wind. You are just floating, drifting away from the shore, drifting away from the camp. The Roman Empire is far away. The emperor is just a name. The war is just a rumor. Only the sleep is real. Think of the color gray. A soft, warm gray fog. It is wrapping around you. It is filling the tent. It softens your thoughts. Your thoughts are becoming slow, like honey dripping from a spoon. Slow, thick, golden. A thought comes, did I clean my boots? Let the thought go. It drifts away like smoke. It doesn't matter. Is the fire out? It doesn't matter. What time is it? It doesn't matter. There is no time here. There is only the deep, endless now. You are sinking deeper into the earth, down through the straw, down through the mud, down into the quiet rock beneath. It is so quiet, so still. The breathing of the other men is a rhythm you can ride. In, out, in, out. Join them, be one of the sleepers. Be part of the legion of dreams. The darkness is a heavy blanket. It covers your head. It covers your mind. It is comfortable. It is kind. You are perfectly safe. You are perfectly warm. You are perfectly still. The night stretches out for 1,000 miles in every direction. Forests of sleeping trees, fields of sleeping grass, rivers of sleeping water. And you are at the center of it all, sleeping. Let go of the last bit of tension, that tiny knot in your chest. Let it go. Exhale, it is gone. You are empty, you are heavy, you are asleep. The last ember in the fire outside has gone black. The smoke has cleared. The camp is one with the night. Sleep now, sleep, soldier. The march is over, the night is yours.